Hello everyone, I'm Coyote Jack, and just when I did that video, SpeedHunters website shutting down and giving just the insights that probably they're going to finally shelve Need for Speed for good, looks like I was right, but we have to look up this one. So, Need for Speed franchise may have been shelved by Evil Art, so an article from WCCF Tech. So, according to a new report, the Need for Speed franchise may have been shelved by Electronic Arts. The news comes from a rather unlikely place, albeit theoretically trustworthy at the same time. Well, all the same, excuse me there. So Matthew Everingham, one of the contributors to the website Speed Hunters, relayed the following message on Instagram. So, actually, yeah, one of the ones that worked there. So, Speed Hunters is so nice. EA shelved Need for Speed, and that means no more funding for the site. Yeah, like I said, they use that site all this time to make an inspirations for Need for Speed, and they fuck it up. Grateful for everything, the treats, the stories, the lifelong mains, and still shooting, just shifting gears into more video. And here's a few lines from the wall chatter. Appreciate everyone who came along for the ride. So yeah, kinda like this is 10. And some images from this record. I think this one is Japan with God, what is this guy Nakai-san with the RWB Porsche tuning there? Yeah, the body kits. Well, an old GT Skyline, 2000 Skyline, yeah, and some screenshots out there. So yeah, they serve like a kind of a way of inspiring the franchise as a whole. So well, that user saying yeah is because yeah the EA realized that they fuck her out so much that there is no point because there is not even less of those consumers, all of those fans for Need for Speed that they were willing to stick it up even in the worst timeline. It was started at 2013, which by the way, Nissan Rivals has is going to get their servers shutting down because it got silently announced by EA. You know how they operate. Let's continue. As we heard, in September 23rd, Electronic Arts moved Criterion Games for the EA Entertainment Group so that they could work on the next Battlefield as well as a new entry in the racing game franchise. Nothing to be seen there, and they killed the EA Sports WRC because they lost license. They killed Codemasters. The only thing they have is the F1 series because they acquired license from Codemasters to that hostile takeover. And if I am omitting something, yeah, it probably is just one of many fuck ups that this franchise has done at the hands of EA, which it used to do good. Oh yeah, I remember Criterion Games after releasing Need for Speed Walkbound, they've realized it, they fuck up. Not only with the wokeness, the progression of that game was straight at dog shit. You don't even have to play it, you can clearly see it, how it operates, and how lackluster everything is inside that game. That no joke. The moment they released that shit, they didn't even dare to realize or excuse me, to release the number sales. So it's estimated that to this date, the only sales this franchise has is around 200 sales across 2 years. EA say, you know what, go fuck this shit. And those Criterion developers that allegedly they were veterans, and this is the funny stuff. Criterion veterans, and they released a dog shit like that. And they say, yeah, let's quit EA while we still can. But at this point, they already gave up. So let's continue. Is it possible that the project wasn't coming along well, or perhaps EA simply decided that they should focus on solely on Battlefield 6, where they are helping with the both single player and multiplayer content? What is remaining of that? All of those. Yeah, if I remember correctly, there was this news where that Sony ex executive Suhei Yoshida, yeah, that Japanese one, he said that yeah, they cannot afford this industry by their own standards. They cannot afford to have multi-billion AAA budget slops to keep flopping because it's going to be 10, which I think EA is putting all of their effort now in this basket that is Battlefield 6. I'll let you return to the formula, all while they are also shoving in QA's tests that are filled with DEI shit like, oh, how do you identify yourself? What are your pronouns? You know, at that point you should already realize that, yeah, the past will stay there in the past, and the new style, yeah, it doesn't deserve to actually be existing. You know, at this point, yeah, this an IP like Need for Speed has been an empty shell for quite a while, more than a decade at this point. So yeah, at this point I'm not going to shed any tear of it. Yeah, I even the older games are still receiving support thanks to the modern scene on PC. They are keeping them alive and even putting online service. Well, the servers are actually running back again thanks to those modders, which EA dropped support. Nobody is going to care for anymore for all of this slop. Probably you could say, oh, but what about what that game we Need for Speed Hint when with the Unite mod? Do you really think they're going to stick it up for a slop like Walkbound? No, they got sick and tired. And even the last thing I remember from that group, it got dismantled by their own hand. So yeah, we're almost at the end of this. So after all, Need for Speed doesn't really compare with Battlefield in terms of relevance to Electronic Arts, which is kind of sad because Need for Speed was a staple when 2005 release is what made them impair with Battlefield. Battlefield was like some sort of a niche, but since it was like the catapult for the live service aspect that they were seeking on, yeah, they ditched Need for Speed, neglected it so much, and it's probably because one fucking old ass executive they didn't care too much, and the main focus, along with those executives and CEOs among all of these AAA corpus labs, is just giving less and earning more out of you. So let's continue. To give you an idea, the publisher is apparently hoping to reach 100 million players for Battlefield 6 somehow. This sign, if they're saying this, if this is no joke, that the fucking CEO Andrew Wilson is saying this from EA that, oh yeah, this one is going to be the biggest AAA multi-billion budget project that is going to give us all of the revenue, and it's finally going to make all of those consumers go back to us after we spitting them in the face with Battlefield 2042, or my favorite is 20x 42 frames per second. To selling the idea of 100 million players to investors, they are delusional. They are going to finally destroy themselves if that's the case. Yeah, go for it, EA. Go fucking go for it. I love the task, but not completely impossible. It is impossible. Even new players, new generation, the Gen Z is not even buying new games. Even they are going to retro games. Hell, I have seen some of those Gen Zers rarely popping out on my feed on YouTube playing Shock Troopers or Metal Slug. And even if they're not doing those views, it's a sign that they are probably interested in that because it looks good, it plays good, and it delivers for even less. That is over $80. Or well, man, I am not going to say $100. Nah, even if those fucking corpus will want you to pay for their slot. No, I'm not going to give them ideas. Anyway, even the younger generations would rather stick to retro games because they have access to that thanks to piracy, selling the 7 series because it's the best way of preserving games, and probably because they are seeing of it, or how those games play, or people doing some memorial videos out of it, and they have that interest in trying them. No nostalgia, no absolute fucking nostalgia for that. And even it's going to be the same for those older Need for Speed games because of the modern scene. Even if some of those end up dying alone, well, there are going to be spiritual successors being delivered by some double A's and indies. So yeah, there are alternatives already out there. And seeing EA trying to say, yeah, we are destroying all that we have, while also having the hires to make a new project, which is going to be our last flagship. Yeah, they're going to fuck it up. But even if they have some blindless consumer base, that consumer is getting old, and also they are not going to stick up with a lot of multiplayer as time goes by. So well, the 20s. But not completely impossible should the game turn out to be a massive success, where racing games are way more niche. Well, that's true. Racing games used to be a kind of a staple of our genre and so on, even back in the day with the PS2 era. Not anymore, they are niche. Even the most successful in recent years, Forza Horizon 5 only reached 40 million so far. Players, but not sales. And that's because of Game Pass. The only way to know who actually bought the game and even the expansions to actually have a clear, consistent knowledge is if you look at the player count base in the Hot Wheels expansion. Because even with that way, they try to track when with the release of Horizon 5 in PC Station 5, and on that console reached 3 million players. Or look at Steam numbers; those speak better, and who actually are sticking out to the game. Well, and 600 million. Probably even if I have to say myself that the way to achieve it that is by putting the game day one on Game Pass or the EA Access to see if it sticks. But no, man, nah. See, 100 million players and reaching 45 million players on Horizon or Forza Horizon 5 is because after a long time of people that try and ditch the game. Try and ditch it. Don't lower it and ditch it with Game Pass. Not necessarily because they release it and pick it up 45 million players at launch. Nah, that's bullshit. Yeah, I think even thinking this more truly, I think they are just trying to trick all of they can with those investors and cash out all they can when they finally shut down EA. So anyway, that's it. Thanks for watching and please take care.